Bada bing, bada boom. We are live. Welcome to today's free coaching. Look, when you guys jump in here, hashtag team live. When you watch us on a live, hashtag team replay. You watch us on a replay. We come to you every Tuesday with a quick little 15-minute punch to your mouth. Hopefully, the energy, the motivation, but more importantly, the tips and strategies you need to dominate the week, the month, or just even the day. But Tessa Bella back from Jamaica. How you doing today?
I am good. I am so happy to be back from Jamaica. And, John and I were just talking right before we kicked off this live. And it is so interesting whenever you travel, or maybe you have people who come to visit you. I know we're about to enter that season where you probably have family that's planning their trips to you or your trips to them around the holidays. We start to get into even the best and most committed to their routines kind of people. It's easy to kind of fall out of those typical habits and routines that you have because you're in either a different environment, you're around different kinds of people, your schedule may look different, your priorities may look different for a number of days, weeks, or for even a season of time. And so it's really important to understand that that cannot be used as your excuse to then drop off on everything else. And that's what we see happen so often is one thing will go not quite as planned. And then all of a sudden it's the typical case of, oh, I fell off my diet on a Tuesday. I'm just going to start it next Monday. And so then you go absolutely crazy for the remainder of the week. And then you try again the following week. And you've really set yourself up for this negative cycle, this negative loop of creating the excuses instead of pushing through that and preparing for your own success. So I'm super excited to talk about this today because I know that this season particularly, we're really in that final quarter, that final push, which honestly is insane to even think about. It feels like it was the new year like a couple weeks ago. So the fact that we're about to close out 2022 in the next 90 days is absolutely insane. But now it's more important than ever. The habits and the standards that you hold yourself to now and in the coming weeks and months is really going to set the tone for the next year and the next season of your life. And so often we always set these goals, we always set what we want to accomplish, and then we create this other path for ourselves, sometimes unknowingly and sometimes consciously. But at the end of the day, it becomes an addiction. Every single person has their own levels and degrees of addiction, and some of it can be positive, but so often we get addicted to the excuses and to making ourselves too comfortable. And so today we wanted to talk about really challenging you to get a little bit uncomfortable in your commitments to the things that are simple, because it's really those simple actions, those simple accountabilities that compound and truly get you that much closer to the goals that you've set out to accomplish. And John, before I toss it back over to you, the other piece of this that I think is so important is that so many people see where they are right now and where they want to be as this massive gap. Whether it's an income goal, it's a physical fitness goal, it can be absolutely anything. But wherever you are right now and your big goal is probably looks like this massive gap in between those two. And so then we sit back and we look at it and think, okay, well, that means I'm going to have to overhaul every single piece of my life. Like I'm going to have to absolutely change every little element in order to get there. And oftentimes we don't actually know what those little shifts need to be unless we have the guidance and the accountability to get clear on that. So that's hopefully what you'll get out of today's free live coaching with us, is really that you can understand it's small adjustments. It's like a 1 degree adjustment on that notch that can really make a lasting impact when it's compounded over time. Consistency will win the game 100% of the time. And that's really, really what's going to come into play in this last season of the year. So, John, take it away.
Yeah, so if everybody looks at the name of this Facebook Live, right? It is Have You Fell Off, So Did I, right? And Tessa just fell off right now, and there she is, she's back. Have you fell off, so did I.
John, I think your Wi-Fi is a little spotty, my friend.
Go ahead.
There
You
you
go.
go.
I'm going to fix it. You go ahead, girl. You keep crushing.
All right. Well, so John is talking about how easy it is to kind of fall off, and then it compounds into all of these other directions that we start to create excuses. And sometimes you don't even realize that it's happened. This happens a lot. Is I've caught myself doing it. I have a very set morning routine, right? And in that morning routine, I like to do the visualization, the journaling, all of these different pieces. But then I recently moved into a new house. And so as you move, you find new habits, you're getting into kind of new routines. And next thing you know, the other day I was sitting and reflecting on September and I was setting my goals for October. And I was realizing that I've let too many days go past where I haven't done the little things. I haven't done that journaling. I haven't done that meditation. I haven't done the things that typically set the tone for my day. Has that completely lit my life on fire and like ruined everything? Absolutely not. But it does start to come into play when you're pushed up against those challenging times, or when that motivation starts to run out. You're going to always go back to your defaults. And so one of the things that John and I talk about a lot is raising the standard of the defaults in your life. If you were to elevate the standards of where you fall when things get hard, where you fall when money gets tight, where you fall when relationships get stressed, or whatever challenges you may come across in life, because that's inevitable. Nobody's immune to dealing with different cycles of life and adversity. And so what happens in those times? Are you the person that then resorts to these negative habits and addictions, who starts drinking more, who starts, not holding themselves accountable? You don't go to the gym, you don't make your dials, you don't do the things that you need to do? Or are you the person that has elevated those standards of your defaults, so you still continue to get stuff done and keep yourself at a steady level where you can easily bounce back? Because ultimately that's what really comes, really what it comes down to, is how fast can you bounce back into it? It's not that you're never going to have downs in your life. It's how quickly can I see that? Can I adjust? And can I get back to where I wanted to go to really grow into the person, the leader, or the agent, whatever it is that I need to be for the people who are really looking to me. So John, it looks like your Wi-Fi is back in business. Welcome back, friend, and go ahead and tell them a little bit about your situation with falling off a bit.
Yeah, so first off, and let's admit it, right? So in the comments right now, tell me, have you fallen off something that you probably know you need to get back to? Waking up at a certain time, like Tessa said, the meditation, breath work, is going to the gym, making dials. Have you fell off somewhere? First thing is admitting it. And that's where I come in. That's why I wanted to make this entire video. Hey, I fell off too, right? Like Tessa and I aren't sitting up here like, dude, we crush in every area all day, every day, 24/7. That's not what happens. And in the last several months, I've been hitting the gym, but I've been hitting the gym later in the day, as far as like a 7:30, sometimes 7, sometimes 8. In reality, I need to get that done earlier. And here's the reason why. I used my 8-month-old as an excuse, because I'm waking up every 2 hours, why I'm not able to wake up at 5:30 and go to the gym. And I finally had enough. Because what happens is when you start the day that late, I'm missing opportunity to hang out with my son and my daughter, and missing the opportunity to give Ashley time, because now I'm running behind. And it's this nasty trickle effect that really started to happen. And so I think it's time for us to have this recommitment season. And at a time where most people will be uncommitted because of the excuses, let's be the agents, let's be the humans that actually recommit, that up level ourselves. Because I know, like Tessa said when we started, you're going to be going on, your Christmas vacation or Thanksgiving vacation, there's fall break, or you have people around you. I highly, highly urge you to step into a whole nother level of commitment, a whole nother level. And it's going to be hard. There's going to be resistance. There's going to be change, right? Tessa and I were talking before this, and Tessa works out like she's going to play in the Super Bowl every day, or she's going to get 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. And so that's how she works out. Well, in Jamaica, she wasn't working out as hard, right? And so now she worked out the other day, and she's sore today.
I'm so sore. I can barely move.
But I want you to embrace that soreness, guys, or whatever it is, right? Embrace that suck, that what's going to happen when you make these changes. Today, I set my alarm for 5:30. It went off, and I said, okay, 5 more minutes. No, don't fall into the trend, right? Right. And so it's in those moments that really dictate your future. So I just want you guys to truly stake this as your recommitment season. your rededication season, because I know we all have fallen off somewhere and it's time to get back. There's no excuses. There's no circumstances. And guess what? Now it's behind us. Let's not be mean to ourselves and bully ourselves on why I didn't, execute on those habits, last month or 2 months. But let's take ourselves into the next level. And I will say this, and guys, write this down. It's not about the standards set. It's about the standards met. It's not about the standards set. It's about the standards met. And I set high standards for myself, and I missed the mark, and I missed the mark, and I missed the mark. And yes, I wanted to beat myself over it. Yes, there was some guilt and some shame there. But instead of almost guilt and shame, I almost ignored that maybe that's not what I need. No, I'm changing my season. I don't need to wake up at 5 o'clock. No, you know what it does for you. You understand how it catapults you into your day in all areas, right? And whatever it is that you are not doing that you know you should be doing. And the last thing I'll say is this. I was listening to a podcast, which is another thing I'm reinvesting myself into, is continually growing and reading more and doing more podcasts. But I don't know who it was, Tessa, but they were sitting there, and I was listening to this about 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. Actually, I do wake up that early when I am speaking at events because I know I'm on a time crunch, right? There's a deadline. And I listened to this podcast. Gosh, I don't remember who it is, but they were saying, I want you to go sit at the end of your bed and think about the things that you should be doing, right? Think about the things that you should be doing. And in that moment, you think about those things that you should be doing. What is it about it why you're not doing it, right? And it just talks about the stories we tell ourselves. And I've been giving myself a very bad story for why I'm not doing something. It doesn't make me a better person. It doesn't make you a bad person, guys, for not doing it. But I first need to change that story to change the next step. I got to change that story to change my next step. And so make sure whatever it is, guys, identify what the story is that you're telling yourself why you're not making your dials, why you're not investing in coaching, why you're not putting yourself into a position where you're in a better environment. What's the story? I'm not ready. I have too much on my plate. We got, the holiday season's coming up, whatever it is. Nobody wants to buy in this market, which is BS, by the way. Whatever the story is, if that story doesn't align with it, get rid of it. Because think about this. If you were going ahead and watching a movie, okay? And you're watching a movie and you're reading this, watching this story play out, and you're like, this story's lame. You'd probably turn it off, right? This movie's lame. You turn it off, right? This story's lame. You turn it off, right? And you go to something else, right? You go to something else. But right now, the action that you need to be taking, right? The story you're telling yourself is not allowing you to even want to follow through. It's not, you want to turn the channel off, right? It's the same exact shit. So change the story to change your next step, to change your success, plain and simple. But it's time. Recommitment season's here, right? We talked about runway season, but let's get really good. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to recommit myself to. And you guys in the comments, say what you're going to recommit to. I'm going to recommit to waking up at 5:30, 4 days a week. I'm not going 7. I'm going 4 days a week, right? I'm going 4 days a week. And why is that? Because I know if I go 7 and I'm not going to be able to hit 7, I'm going to create guilt shame 4 days a week for the next 2 months. That's it. 4 days a week. By 5:30, I'm up. My other recommitment is reading 3 chapters a week. At first, I wrote a chapter a day. I'm going to read a chapter a day. And I found myself wasn't doing it. So I'm going to go 3 chapters a week. That's it. For the next month, 3 chapters a week. Then I'm going to recommit myself to meditation and breath work, which I already started. And that, once again, is 3 days a week. That's what I'm going to commit myself to, right? Recommit, rededicate, realign myself with. And so whatever it is, drop it to a chat. Let's hold yourself accountable. Let's put it out there in a public forum. But that's what I am going to hold myself accountable to. And my recommitment season is about that. And Tessa said it before. Did it shake up my entire world? Not really. But did I start to feel the ground breaking a little bit as the weeks, months went on? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the real issue is that it compounds over time. It's going to be you don't see that for the first 3, maybe even 6 months, you might not notice it. You might not really see the impacts of that in your life until you're 12 months down the road, and it's so much harder to retrain a habit or to change something when you've been out of it for 12 months. Imagine it in terms of a relationship. If you were to ignore an important factor in a relationship for an entire year, do you think that you're going to be able to have one conversation and fix that issue? Or is that going to be something that you're going to have to put extensive amounts of work, and there may actually already be irreversible damage that's been done? The same thing is true with your business. The same thing is true with your health, with your mindfulness, with every single area of your life. The longer that you put it off, knowing that you need to do it, the harder it is to go back and change it. And so there's 2 things that I want to leave you guys with that you can use as kind of a tool to make this shift too. And please drop your shifts and your commitments into the chat, just like John mentioned, so we can see what you're going to commit to for these next couple of months. But a great way to do this, and this is something you mentioned, John, is that you were using, I think you mentioned that you were using your son as this excuse to not get up, right? So a great exercise, and this is really, really powerful, is everyone's got our own excuses. Last night I could not fall asleep until about 2 a.m. And so when my alarm went off at 5 a.m., I absolutely did not want to get up and go to the gym. I had every reason in my head why I could not. I could stay and I could sleep. I had every excuse that was starting to line up. And so there's 2 things that you can do is list out the things that you've been finding yourself using as excuses and start to make them your reasons. So in the example that John just gave about his son, your son is a perfect reason to do it. Less of an excuse to not do it, but a perfect reason to do it, right? And the same thing is true with anything that we allow ourselves to really subscribe to as an excuse could be completely repositioned and reprogrammed in your mind as the exact reason why you need to do it. So make a list of the excuses that you catch yourself saying and find a way to shift them into the reasons that you're going to do it anyways. And that leads right into the second piece, which is finding those pattern interrupts. When you create this habit of interrupting the pattern, another example that John just gave was that alarm went off and you wanted to say, hey, 5 more minutes, I'm going to hit snooze, right? Well, instead, that's of course the default right now that you have conditioned yourself into. Maybe you've been allowing that snooze button to be hit. So find a reason and find yourself in these opportunities where you're at that fork in the road and you can make the decision to interrupt that pattern and to rewrite a new commitment that you're going to stick to. And it can be small ones. You're going to realize that when you try to have more like cognitive awareness around that throughout every single day, you're going to find yourself at those forks in the road more often. You're going to see these opportunities where you could very easily decide to interrupt that pattern or to go back down the exact same path that you've been on. But ultimately, and this is something that John says all the time, but emotion creates motion. And so the more that we can attach an emotion to those reasons instead of excuses, and to interrupting those patterns and committing to the things that we know are going to get us closer to the goals that we've set, the more committed we're going to stay to it, the more likely we are to follow through with it. And soon you're going to realize that that becomes a programmed habit, is that every time you're faced with the decision of, oh, should I stop these reps now or should I continue to go? Should I push myself one more or should I stop? Should I hit snooze or should I get up? You're going to start to default now to choosing the harder option, to choosing the thing that you know is going to be giving you that 1% edge over anybody else that may or may not be, mentally competing with you. I always like to imagine I have a lot of people competing with me because I'm a very competitive person. So if I think of it that way, there's no chance that I'm not getting up and doing the dang thing. So those 2 tools can be a really powerful, set of ammunition, I guess, to add to your tool belt to go out there and actually make that shift. So find those things that you've fallen off of, figure out what the excuses are that you're currently subscribed to and turn them into your reasons. And more often, interrupt that pattern to make the changes. And you noticed in John's examples that all of the things that he said he's recommitting to, it was not, hey, I'm going to work out 17 times a week, 2 a day. So I'm going to be waking up at 3 a.m. I'm going to be doing all this stuff. It's starting from where you are with what you have and building up on it so that you can stay more consistent long term. We see it happen with social media, with fitness, with all kinds of stuff. People say, oh, I know I need to be doing social media. I'm going to post 3 times a day. And then they do that maybe for a week and then fall right off. So definitely start from where you are with what you have, create that list, and really commit yourself to building those healthy habits now. And I promise you, it is going to serve you so much better as we come into this new year.
Yes, I love it. There you go, guys. That is Tuesday's free coaching. Recommit yourself. Let us know what you're recommitting to. Hopefully, our vulnerability and transparency will help create some vulnerability and some transformation in your life. But if you need us, let us know. Be on the lookout, letting you guys know about our Ultimate Year workshop that's going to be coming up here in the next 4 weeks or so. So just be on the lookout. We'll get you guys that workshop information. But make sure you let us know if you need anything. Otherwise, hopefully this helped. Go crush the day, crush the week, and let's go. Talk to you guys next week.